Dybala arriving and curling it into the back of the net. Another stunning finish from Paulo Dybala.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano, Gianni della, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The intro song is Fireworks by Jahzzar. This is the Calcio Guys with Adreano, Gianni della. I'm Nicholas Di Giovanni. Exciting week in the city as the first round of the Andata. It's Ritorno Andata, yeah. The first round of the turnover of the calendar went underway. Coppa Italia. How are you guys doing?
I'm in a good mood. Pretty excited.
I'm doing good. Napoli beat Lazio today, so let's go. First win in 4 months.
Yeah, I mean, we were gonna get to that later about Napoli's troubles, and we're gonna have Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs join us in about 30 minutes to talk about everything around the Serie A, especially transfers. He knows a lot about the Serie A, and the reason why he's so popular on social media. And Gianni, it's a big week for me and you. Because
yes.
Juve Roma tomorrow in the Coppa Italia on Wednesday, and then Napoli Juve on Sunday, I believe. So both your teams get to lose against Juve.
Wow. Actually, believe it or not, I think in an ideal world, obviously both come away with the win. But actually, I think Juve is not going to try so hard for Coppa Italia that I think Roma might sneak a win versus them.
That's a fair assessment.
Fair.
Adrian, I know. So I know you're gonna be happy to talk about this team, La Viola, Fiorentina, finally doing something positive in Florence. I know you've been praising the Comiso project quite a bit, and then huge win in the Coppa Italia against Atalanta, the last year's finalists, and then a win against you could say big team at Napoli, obviously not having the season they wanted on the weekend. Like I said, finally something positive.
Yeah, I mean, with this Fiorentina side, it's been a lackluster year, lackluster start of the year, as I should say. You nailed it on the head. I mean, I've been a big homer with this whole Comiso project, and I think his effect on the club, on the fans, on the city of Florence has paid dividends so far. Yes, it is early, but they got a young team at hand, and I think they're going in the right direction. These two games, Coppa Italia and the Serie A, 2 steps in the right direction, I would say, and I think it's only up from here because obviously change of management, change of ownership, you want to get your own stadium, stuff like that. There's all kinds of outsider noise. I think this team needs to go in the right direction, and I think with these wins that they are doing so. So I mean, I think it's important for the city of Florence because to get them back into maybe the top 10, maybe even Europe would be a good treat for all La Viola, and I'm a big believer, and I think they can do it.
And then this happened Saturday afternoon at Napoli.
Vlahovic goes for the corner and produces another spectacular goal. He doesn't do ordinary.
Gianni, I mean, nice goal by Vlahovic, but you have to be disappointed with Napoli's performance.
Well, as I stated before and many weeks ago when Koulibaly went down, that he's going to be severely missed, and it showed again in this game. Napoli kept up with Fiorentina offensively. Callejon and Milik got some really good chances that unfortunately did not go in. Actually, Napoli even dominated possession-wise with 59% versus 41%. So offensively, they were in the fight. It was just in the back end, after Koulibaly, probably our next best defender is Manolas, and he's above average at best. So it just goes to show that ADL has been ignoring the big hole in the back, and that big hole was just basically masked by the great play of Koulibaly. And hopefully maybe this is a wake-up call for them.
And so I want both of you guys to listen to Steve Banyard, his final call at the end of Napoli-Fiorentina, and I want to know if you guys agree with this.
And it's a solitary exit here for Gennaro Gattuso. His captain comes across, an almost self-contained, a little shake of the hand, but no more. There's no love, there's no warmth, there's no energy, there's no end result.
No love, no warmth, no energy. I mean, that was fair for Saturday's performance, but hindsight is 20/20, and we got to see them play Lazio today. But in terms of Serie A, I think he nailed it on the head.
I think so. I mean, this Napoli team, Gianni can vouch, and I think all Napoli fans around the world can vouch that it's been a terrible year, and I think May, June can't come any sooner for this team. It's sad to say, a team with all this great players and great atmosphere, a great city in Naples that really get behind their team. It's pretty sad. Obviously, ADL is ADL, and he'll always be, I think, that type of character and in decision making as well. But change of coach, I mean, get rid of Ancelotti, bring in Gattuso. You think that maybe this team has a bit more grinta, maybe a bit more spirit, because we all know that's what Gattuso can bring. And unfortunately, I don't know. It's still not clicking. I don't know if it's still a discrepancy between players and the coach, or just players amongst themselves, or with management, whatever the case may be. But I think they really got to put this behind them and move forward. That's the only thing they can really do. I mean, they're slipping down the standings, and it's getting kind of sad at this point. So I think, as you said, we got to see them play Lazio today, and it was a bit more of a breath of fresh air. But after that Fiorentina-Napoli game, I think a lot of fans were really feeling, this is another dagger in the heart and salt in the wound. So, I would love to see Napoli, get back to where they belong. But, it takes everybody on board and a cohesive group to do so. And I think they're not just there yet. And hopefully, in the future, it can, evolve into something great. But as of right now, it's, they're just kind of stuck in the mud.
I mean, it's the writing's been on the wall for the longest time for De Laurentiis. I think it's just a gigantic ripple effect since the days of Higuain wanting to leave after he had that stellar season, and some argue that he broke the record, some argue that he tied. Nonetheless, ever since that year that he sold him to Juventus, that's when basically it was showing that maybe we've peaked and this is probably going to be a slow downfall, and now we're starting to crash because of the whole incident with him holding out the salaries of the players. Honestly speaking, I think if Napoli wants to even succeed in the future, the problem's not on the field, the problem's up there in the offices. And I thank De Laurentiis from taking a bankrupt club like Napoli from Serie C all the way back up to Serie A and made them a competitive team. And he's got a great idea and great vision for players. Believe it or not, he's good at scouting young players and stuff and finding talent. But nonetheless, nothing's going to get better unless he leaves.
Wow.
Perin's lost his footing. This is Pellegrini. What a chance for Roma, perhaps. Edin Dzeko finds the back of the net. Perin at fault. Dzeko on the score sheet, and Roma surely on course for the victory.
You're there. Sorry about that. With Roma's third goal with a fantastic assist from Cengiz Ünder. And I wanted to ask you, Gianni, Cengiz Ünder, he comes into this game, has a fantastic performance. Can he replace Zaniolo, at least temporarily?
Well, I mean, they got Ünder like a couple of years ago to be that young prospect that they wanted to develop and work on, and honestly be that other second man to Dzeko. And it just so happened that he kind of fell into obscurity. Mind you, he got injured too. And Zaniolo just obviously was a blessing in this. Well, that wasn't a blessing in disguise. That was a good call from Roma management to get him from Inter. But overall, he stepped up, and he's always had that talent on the right side. He's always had that talent. He always had that technique. It's just unfortunate when he plays against Real Madrid, for some reason, he just disappears, in the Champions League last year. But no, it was a good fit. It was something that's always been there. it's great to see that we have a player that's willing to step up in the role that Zaniolo was kind of leaving behind right now.
And I wanted to ask you, Adreano, moving away from Roma, huge week for Milan as well. Obviously, the win in the Coppa Italia against Spal, and then the comeback win against Udinese on the weekend. And obviously, Rebic scores 2 goals on the weekend. But I want to ask you maybe a two-parter question. First of all, how are you feeling about that win? But Theo Hernandez, is he the best? Is he the best left back in the Serie A right now?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, Theo. I mean, I guess kind of diamond in the rough per se, if you want to say. Maldini actually and Boban doing some good work and finding him at Real Madrid. Obviously, young guy, not getting much playing time. Bring him over to Milan, and he's really just bursting on the scene in Milano. And I think all fans, all Milan fans around the world can vouch that he's probably the best left back in the league, and even making himself on the world stage as well. But he's been so crucial offensively, because we all know that Milan can't even buy a goal sometimes in some games. So to see him contribute offensively, defensively, I think it's it goes without saying that he's.
I'm just gonna interrupt you there and say I saw a meme from Lealto Goal, and I know Gianni loves Lealto Goal, saying Theo Hernandez has been Milan's best attacker this year.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we posted about it. Why is he a defender? Is he an attacker? We have no idea. I mean, as Milan fans, we'll take it because we need the offense. But I think we're set on that left side now with him back there. It just players around that need to obviously contribute. I've been saying it time and time again. But two big wins. The one on the weekend. Huge. I mean, I thought we were going to go down to another draw, and Rebic, I guess the new RoboCop in Rebic comes out of nowhere and scores the winner. So we'll take it on to the next one, and it's slowly. I think this team can do something, but in a couple weeks or in 2 weeks, I believe it's the derby. So if we can get these points now, I mean, come derby time, I think we'll be full of confidence.
Johnny, if you had to start a Serie A team right now, using all the players in their current form in the Serie A, or at your availability is all the players in their current form in the Serie A, who would you take at left back?
Oof.
There's only one name.
Because I have an answer. I have an answer, at least for me. I'd take Alexandro over Theo Hernandez, simply because
Johnny, are you shocked?
Wow. He's been in the league for years. He's been in the league for years. He's won stuff. He's a better defender. Sure, Theo Hernandez is red hot right now, and he's really good at pushing the ball up the field. But we haven't really seen him do anything other than the past 6 weeks. So if you're going to start a team right now, I still think it's Alexandro.
You guys are missing.
It's hard to compare.
John, you can't take Mario Rui.
Damn it! I want to go for the obvious answer and the God-forsaken curse that he is, Mario Rui. I want to be a joke and say that.
How did you feel when he captain's armband today?
Let's not go there. You know what? I mean, if Koulibaly was there, I would have gone to Koulibaly. Let's just put that. Di Lorenzo and Manolas are kind of newer to the squad, so obviously they're not going to get the armband. So, I mean, whatever. It was just temporarily. It was just temporary. But you know what? Sure. Right now, let's go with Theo Hernandez. Right now, why not? I love the offensive spark that he can bring from that side, and especially that when you want your right backs and your left backs to be guys that can help contribute offensively too. And if he's got a shot and a half, let's be honest here. He's got a great shot. A lot of left backs and right backs are just good at like if they're gonna run up with the ball, they're just basically gonna be a playmaker. They're just gonna set the ball in and hopefully let the forwards do their job. At least they contribute. Whereas Theo Hernandez can be a weapon if Milan needs it. So that's where I kind of like him more. If I have to choose between the two.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't go through this whole podcast without talking about what happened between both Inter and Juventus this weekend.
Might yet work out for them, and it goes again, Mancoso! Oh, 1-1. A swift response from Lecce.
Now Dybala, options in the middle. Ronaldo is one of them. And as they always do, Juventus find a way.
Pages as I was talking.
And so, as you heard it there, Inter drops points at Lecce. Lecce is incredible. They tie Milan at the San Siro, tie Juve at home, and then tie Inter at home. And then obviously Juve picks up the crucial points at home against Parma. So 4-point lead on top. I wouldn't say, I don't know. I've already seen things on social media that, the race is over. I don't know. It's still far from over. There's still 18 match days left, and there's still Lazio. And I think this Inter loss puts Lazio a lot more in the conversation to challenge for the Scudetto.
Didn't Lecce lose last week to Parma? Yes, they did, actually.
Yeah. They're terrible against smaller teams, and then they're monsters against the big teams.
Well, that's what it is with these small teams in Serie A.
Yeah. Actually, this is where Inter honestly needs to, if they're going to lose at the end of the season, this is where they're going to have to circle their calendar of where they went wrong. If they don't walk home with the Scudetto, this point in time is where they lost it. This was an easy win. I'm sorry. Lecce is 17th in the league. It's a team that you should be getting those easy 3 points, and you screw it up. They tried their best to. I mean, it wasn't as if Inter didn't try. They had 9 shots on target. I mean, they were giving it their all, but Gabriel was just playing on his head. And that is one of my choices later on of our discussion. But anyways, all in all, Inter shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
I think also just, going back, these small teams, it's like they small team against small team, if you will. I mean, it is what it is, but that the sensation or the feeling when you wake up and you're playing the Juventuses of the world, the Napolis, the Inter, the Lazio, the Milans, it brings these players into another gear. And I think that these types of games, stimulate them a lot, and it gets them, as I said, into another gear and into another level to perform and to try to come away with some sort of points. So I always say that I think Serie A is one of the tougher leagues from top to bottom. I mean, there's no easy games, and you think you have the game wrapped up, and something crazy happens. So hats off to Lecce this week, tying Inter, but they're gonna have to they still have some work to do to get to be safe from relegation. So we'll see how it pans out.
So I want to do our social media questions before we have Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs, and 2 of them are actually from Gianni. So
shocker.
I think this one question is more for Adreano. Is Zlatan that much of a difference maker for AC Milan?
Oh yes, I did see that. Yeah, I mean, Zlatan is Zlatan. You see him on the pitch, and I would be scared to face him. Just the energy that he brings, the grinta, just the stature is scary. Just nonetheless. So I think yes, he brings big influence in front, and he brings a lot of attention, which I think can't stress enough. The supporting cast has to step up. When Ibra, gets this attention that, somebody else is going to be open if they're double teaming him, and, other players, have to step up. Ala Suso, Ala Çalhanoğlu, Castillejo has been doing a good job. Paqueta, if he gets in there. So yeah, I mean, I think, yes, he does bring, or a lot more, and, he brings good things for this team. I just think that they just can't fall and be dependent only on Ibra. I think everybody has to step up as well.
And then, Jan, you asked us. This is my favorite one because this is very soccer related. What is Adreano and Nick's favorite type of cheese?
Oh my God! Yeah, I did see that one too.
I'll answer for me. I'll go with Cavallo, but
that's a great one. That's a great one.
Yeah.
When we were in Italy, we had Adriano's cousin Riccardo. He works at a factory where they make cheese, and we had the mozzarella from there. And I've never tasted, mozzarella that good in my life. Oh wow, that was fantastic. I was sitting at the dinner table just scoffing those down. That was fantastic. If I'm gonna choose one specific cheese, it's the Borriati cheese from Isernia.
I appreciate the plug over there, but I can't agree more with Nick. I mean, the good Saputo cheese that we get here in Montreal is one thing, but you go across the pond and you go, discover what the real cheese is in Italy, and just you can't even describe it. It's one of those things where you have to taste it to believe it. And obviously, the caciocavallo we get here at the local grocery stores, or if you're lucky enough to go to Berchici to get it as well. It's honestly phenomenal, and a lot of good memories eating that cheese growing up. So I think me and Nick are side by side with this one, and I think we both have the same favorites.
What's yours, Gianni?
I think my favorite has to be bocconcini. I don't know why. I really, really, really love bocconcini.
Fair enough.
And then we got another question again from Viola Club San Francisco.
Shout out.
Can Fiorentina upset Inter in the Coppa Italia quarterfinals? Honestly, I don't want to say no, but I don't want to say yes. For me, it's tough to say because based on how they've played, I think form, when you're hot, right? So if they could go into that game, I know it's next week, if they could go into that game hot, I think they play Genoa this weekend. They have the possibility, and I think Inter, they have to look at themselves in the mirror and they have to decide, okay, we got Europa League coming up. We have the fight for the Scudetto. We're 4 points out. Are we going to put that much into the Coppa Italia? So if I'm a betting man, I'd probably still go with Inter based on pure quality, but I could see Fiorentina beating Inter as well.
Well, that is a possibility because Inter's like, okay, let's put our attention on the Scudetto. But like I said from the beginning of the year, I think Conte is going to try to go like a firework, try to rise up Inter as much as he can in the first season. And on paper, they're a better squad than Fiorentina. As much as my heart wants Fiorentina to win because of Chiesa and stuff, we have to be realistic about this. Inter just fields a better team. And yes, if Fiorentina got a nice pick-me-up win versus Napoli, but will it be enough to generate momentum to beat Inter? I don't know. If they do, it might be because Inter shoots themselves in the foot and it'll go into penalties or something. But maybe Adreano disagrees with me. He thinks Fiorentina might win, but I don't think so. I think Inter is going to walk away with this one.
Well, no, I mean, I agree with both points. I just think that, going into last game that Fiorentina played against Atalanta, nobody pegged them to win. And they came away with the win against a good Atalanta team, Champions League caliber Atalanta team. So I think I do agree with Nick, though, with the whole what does Inter want to do, where they want to put their eggs, what does Conte want to do. But on the flip side of that, as we spoke about last week, I still think that Inter this season, if obviously they're not getting the Champions League, if they win Europa League, that's still a toss up. If they don't win Scudetto and now they're out of Coppa Italia, I think it's a bit of a hit for Inter, and it's kind of they missed their mark a bit without getting any silverware. So I think. For their best interest, I think they should take it seriously. But I still think Fiorentina can shock everybody and take that matchup.
So I want to get to Joseph in a couple of minutes. So guys, give me your yellow card and red card at the same time this week, and then we'll do MVP, and then we'll have Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs on.
All right,
John, you want to take it away?
Yeah. All right. So my yellow card is going to have to go to. If I wrote it correctly, Balotelli getting that second yellow for complaining afterwards to the ref. The first challenge is a guaranteed yellow. His foot was way too high. That's an easy call to make when you're a ref. Now, the reason why I give up Balotelli his yellow card is because your team is trying to fight out of the bottom three spots. They're trying their best just to at least get to like 17th place so that they can stay in Serie A. And you're an experienced scorer. You're a guy who's scored internationally. You're a guy who's been there for teams. You need to be that role model for them, and you need to be that hero for the team. You need to score. And especially in a tie game, what was it, 2-2 it finished?
Yeah, it finished 2-2.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the score was still 2-2 at that point.
Yes, he needed to be the difference maker, and he was not. So that's why he gets my yellow. And my red card is I have to go to Inter for dropping points.
So yellow to Balotelli.
This is definitely going to be another yellow.
And Inter, as we discussed, for dropping those points.
Going to go to the pocket and get out the red. So red card.
All right, Adrian, you're the ref. Give me those cards.
Yeah, so for me, yellow card is gonna have to go to back to the Napoli-Fiorentina. I know I spoke about it last week about Napoli being out of this form, but we really can't stress it enough. This team is, as Gianni has mentioned many times, too talented to be in the place that they're in and just the state that they're in. And I love Gattuso and I love obviously what he brings, but playing guys out of position for me, just ain't gonna do it. I mean, it's sad because Di Lorenzo is such a good player and such a good playmaking option on the right flank, and having him playing center back in some games is just, I don't know. It's not the right decision when you have guys like Luperto who can play, maybe Tonelli that they brought back as well. So I don't know. It's a bit confusing for me, and I mean we can't we speak about it almost every week with this Napoli side, but still for me merits a bit of a yellow card.
It's a late challenge, surely maybe the first yellow of the match.
Red.
And red. I mean. I don't know. I guess I was going to go back to the thrashing of Samp Lazio there, but I think for me Sampdoria, another team that's just disappointing. I mean, I know they're playing a red hot Lazio team, and Lazio's a great team, and it's sad to see that Samp just went so downhill also, and I think with Ranieri there and just not, giving enough for this team. And there was a quote somewhere that you wouldn't want to be a player if after that thrashing with Lazio, because Ranieri really lost it. So I think it's a bundle of confusion over there, and for me this week merits a red card.
This is going to be a red card, and is that going to change the course of the game?
All right, so for me, yellow card's going to go to Parma fans for protesting ticket prices at the Juventus Stadium. Ticket prices for the away sector in this weekend were €43. Reportedly the exact same price that Juve fans had to pay when they went to the Ennio Tardini. Juve fans, I know, also had to pay €40 when they went to the Stadio Olimpico against Lazio. Reportedly €60 against Roma. I saw on Twitter even €66 against Napoli. And I know it. I know in Italy they don't make a lot of money, and I know €43 is actually a lot of money for them. But if you're gonna go to a soccer game, you're gonna have to pay a bit of money. And maybe for us, €43 doesn't sound that much. That's about $60, $65 Canadian, and that sounds really cheap to go to a sporting event.
That's a steal.
To go to a sporting event here, and they were making a big deal of it. It's just strange. It's
sticky situation.
It's 2020. You know that soccer teams want to make money, and you know that in a league that pays, or at least a team that pays its star player $30 million a year, ticket prices are going to be a bit elevated. But I got to give it to those Parma fans because they ended up donating money to an organization. I forget exactly which one, but regardless, for the aim of the protest, I'm just going to give a yellow card for that.
And he now sees a flash of yellow before his eyes.
And then red card goes to Ciro Immobile haters because he scored two penalties against Sampdoria. And so I saw online after a lot of comments on social media, like Italian social media, calling him rigobile, basically bashing him for the amount of penalties he scored this year. But we've talked about it on this podcast before. A goal is a goal. Someone's got to put it in the net. And for Balotelli, I forget the exact amount of penalties he scored, but I saw something where even without penalties, he still beat Capocannoniere. And, considering he takes all the penalties, it's even tougher because goalies know him more. So it goes to show just how good of a striker he is, and he's so cool and calm when he takes those penalties. So it's frustrating to see so much hate on a guy on the leading scorer in the league, and hopefully the starting striker for the Italian team come June as well. So that's a red card for all those heaters out there.
Could be a red card. The red card is out.
And it's no surprise. Absolutely is against the rules.
So quickly, before we have Joseph on, MVPs of the week.
You want to take it away again, Johnny?
Maybe. I actually want to see what you guys pick before I say mine.
Okay,
go on there.
Okay, I'll take Ernesto Torregrossa from Brescia. He scored 2 goals against Cagliari. He's Sicilian, so I have a bit of bias there. So my player of the week.
Shout out to Sicilian football too.
Yeah, shout out to Sicilian football. Go follow him,
Anthony
Barbagallo, who we've had on before. But Torregrossa, my player of the week.
It's a very even game this afternoon as the shot comes in. What a shot it is as well. Beautiful goal from Torregrossa, his second of the afternoon, and that is a belter.
You guys?
Yeah, so for me, I can't go without saying how crucial of a substitution he was, super sub, whatever you want to call him. Ante Rebic this week, 2 goals, as we spoke about before. Definitely for me merits MVP status this week. A guy who hasn't played for Milan, or barely has played for Milan. Obviously was doing really well at Frankfurt and obviously the Croatian national team. But coming to Milan, he was just kind of one of those guys that he came in, maybe got maybe a couple goals, maybe in training, but never really on the big stage. So to come in at halftime, 46 minutes I think it was, to replace Bonaventura and making his mark on that game where Milan really needed the points, I think speaks dividends. And for me this week, Rebic definitely deserves it.
And now Rebic, is he going to lay it off? Is he going to go alone? Rebic! Can you believe it? The 93rd minute. And Milan take the lead and win the game.
Johnny?
Well, seeing that he wasn't mentioned, I'll just give a small honorable mention to Gabriel, the goaltender for Lecce. Inter took 17 total shots, 10 of which were on target. Man made 9 saves, so get a little mini shout out to him for helping Lecce get that point. But since you guys didn't mention him, MVP for me has to go for Immobile, scoring a hat trick, continuing his dominance in Serie A, showing pretty much everybody that he's not the guy that had his monkey on his back a year and a half, 2 years ago. Now he's the guy who's back to scoring consistently. Like
23 goals
in 19 games.
Not even 19 games.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
on pace for 46.
Well, listen, I think he could possibly break the Higuain record, man.
Oh, easy.
I think so.
I'm surprised. The only reason I took Torregrossa because I figured one of you guys would take Immobile. So
me too. That's why I went with Gabriel too.
Yeah, I didn't want all 3 of us to take Immobile.
A long ball over the top. Immobile's in here. Will it be 3? Round the goalkeeper. Finish with aplomb. Lazio are running riot. 20 minutes in. 3-0. Giro Immobile has his second.
Coming up, Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs, next on the Calcio Guy.
By Boga, and a wonderful finish! That is a stunning goal! Jeremy Boga, basically out of nothing.
As you heard there, that was Jeremy Boga's fantastic goal against Torino, and the song was Italia 90 by Jahzzar. And joining us now, and I'm super excited to have this guest, Joseph from Calcio Fan Blogs, at Calcio Fan Blogs on Instagram, at Calcio Fan Blogs 1 on Twitter. Joseph, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you guys? I remember when you guys first started and we messaged each other back and forth. That was some good time.
It's a long time coming.
So I gotta ask you. So you have over 3,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
So how did you start this blog? And I mean, how did you get so big on social media?
Well, I started this blog. Basically, the whole origin was my university was on strike because I went to York University, which is in the Toronto area. I was on strike and I was at home and I was bored. So literally, this idea came over because I realized that I have a passion for Serie A soccer, so why don't I make a blog about it? And basically how it got created. And also, I don't even know really how I got 3,000 followers on social media, especially on Instagram. I just kind of kept researching how to gain followers and how to increase my following, and I guess it got me to 3,000 followers. It's kind of one of those things where you don't really know how it happened, but it just kind of did, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure it does. I mean, listen, whatever works to get a good following. Moving on quickly, Joseph. So you're speaking about obviously Serie A, that's what we pride ourselves on, and we know that that's what you pride yourselves on as well. Where did that Serie A or Italian Calcio fandom start, and who's your team? Just tell our listeners who your team is and how you became a fan of that team.
Okay, first of all, my love for Italian soccer has basically been since I was a child. Basically, the two sports I was raised on liking were hockey and Italian soccer. And my favorite team is Juventus. And the moment I loved Juventus was Scudetto took this free kick against Inter. I think it was February of 2006. And it was a winning goal in a dramatic game because Inter and Juventus were fighting for the Scudetto this year, which obviously got revoked because of Calcio Poli, but that's a different story. And basically that's how I became a fan. I was always a huge fan of Scudetto even before I supported Juventus. So yeah, that's how I became a fan of Italian soccer, and I was basically I grew up becoming a fan of that.
Moving forward, there's a potential situation where there's going to be a Spinazzola and Politano swap. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think that Spinazzola should move clubs because he's obviously not getting the playing time at Roma. So I really think that maybe a move to Inter would help him. I also think that Politano at Roma would help too because I think he would get the playing time he wants because he's not getting it at Inter. So I think it works for both sides, personally.
But Joseph, we saw this week that Spinazzola went to Milano, Politano went to Roma.
Yeah.
Both players pretty much, well, it seemed like on social media like they waited at the airport. But basically Inter was asking Roma for additional tests on Spinazzola because of his injury history. And at the end, it just looked like an embarrassing situation. Especially Politano, he took a picture with the Roma scarf. What did you think of that specifically?
Well, I always say this, in the transfer window, until the signing is confirmed and the medicals already happened, don't jump to any conclusions, no matter what clubs post on social media. I always say don't jump the gun, because you never know what can happen in the medical. People have failed medicals. It doesn't happen a lot, but sometimes people do fail the medicals, so you really have to be careful.
I totally agree with that, Joseph. We've seen it time and time again. The whole Sheik incident as well. I think last year, maybe 2 seasons ago now, is another I think embarrassing situation. But moving just quickly along for your team, obviously Juventus now obviously top of the table, 4 points separating between them and Inter. But something that's been nagging them a bit, I think people can say, is the injuries. Obviously, the big one to Chiellini and the recent one to Demiral. And what do you make of their injuries and players coming in to step up? And where can you see this team going?
Well, okay, first of all, I think the Chiellini injury was a big blow because I honestly think that Chiellini is the most important player for this Juventus team. I know that Dybala, they have Dybala, Ronaldo, etc., but without Chiellini, I think that this team isn't on the same level. However, I think they've adjusted well over the whole season. De didn't play well at the beginning of the season, but he's starting to pick it up. I think that Bonucci has really stepped into the role he's supposed to, and I really like how he's played. And in general, I think this team should win the Scudetto, and hopefully they win the Champions League. But that's a tough thing to ask of.
So,
For sure.
Lecce tends to have this ability to upset big teams, but always tend to drop against these points against the smaller teams. What's your theory as to why this happens?
Well, I think what happens with any club is that sometimes managers, they prepare to face these big teams, and sometimes these smaller teams are also more motivated to actually beat these big teams, whereas when they face teams closer to their level, there's not as much motivation and hunger there. However, I think it is odd because, like, Lecce, I don't even know their payroll, but Lecce's payroll is probably ridiculously low compared to the clubs they've actually beaten, so it's remarkable that they've done that.
And, I mean, we saw a similar situation yesterday in Bergamo with Atalanta Spal, and, you know, I got to be honest, I noticed that there was this game, this Monday night game. I didn't even watch it. Thinking, okay, it's going to be an easy win for Atalanta. I see the score at the end of the game. 2-1 Spal, goals from Petagna and Velotti.
That was the funny part.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. I didn't expect Spal to win, that's for sure. I thought, especially Petagna scoring was very surprising to me. But that can happen, right? Serie is a league where anything can happen, and that did happen. So I think I think that's what happened.
No easy games, Joseph. There's no easy games in Serie A.
Exactly. I agree completely. Like, there's no easy games. I don't think even clubs like, let's say, Torino, Parma, those teams are really tough to beat. Never mind the low teams.
And I wanted to ask you, so going back to the transfer, but kind of sticking with the team we just talked about, Inter, they've had a lot of rumors going around. Eriksen, Giroud, Victor Moses. Do you think going for all these guys in January could really help them for the Scudetto fight?
I think it really could. However, it depends on whether they actually get them or not, because the one thing about the January transfer window that I think maybe a lot of fans know or they're ignorant to or they just don't want to understand is that in the January transfer window, it's a lot of clubs don't want to sell because it's in the middle of the season and it's hard to find replacements because other clubs also don't want to sell you their players too. So, I mean, if they do get them, they'll definitely, I think they'll be Scudetto contenders like they already are, but I just don't see it happening right now.
Another team that's obviously in the conversation more as of late, but have been putting in a good shift so far this start of the season is Lazio. You can't deny their form, and obviously they have Immobile up there that's scoring for fun. So I'm just wondering. Well, we're actually wondering, what do you think of obviously Lazio's fight for the Scudetto? Is that a reality, or people just blowing it out of proportion?
I think right now it would appear as though they are actually competing for the Scudetto based on the way they're playing. They're being very consistent. However, what I think might happen is inconsistency could haunt them like it has in seasons past, and they could actually get out of a Champions League spot. But if they keep playing like this, no doubt they'll be a Scudetto contender and definitely qualify for the Champions League this season. I still do think, though, that if Acerbi gets injured on the defensive end, then it might lead to huge inconsistency. So they have to really rest him a lot.
And Lazio's got a big game coming up this weekend. Yeah. It's the Derby della Capitale. Yeah. Obviously making a big push for the Scudetto. Do you think they walk away with the win, or do you think Roma actually gets the W?
It's tough to say. It really is in these derby games, but I do believe that Roma's actually going to take it. I think that Fonseca has really gotten this team to buy into a system. I also think that Fonseca is generally a better manager, although credit to Simone Inzaghi for what he's done. But I do think that Roma is going to take it, and I think maybe Dzeko might score the game winner. Who knows?
That'd be awesome.
I think that would be big for Roma, seeing how in form Lazio is at the moment. But moving on to another matchup this weekend, Napoli-Juve, obviously a big game. Two big teams, obviously one on a better path than the other. But what do you make of this game? Maybe a result, and can Napoli maybe stun Juventus this week?
First of all, I just want to say, not related, maybe related to the game, but I actually tried to start a watch party for this game, but didn't turn out. But anyways, let's get back to the game.
We saw that.
Yeah, let's get back to the game. Basically, sorry, it seems like I haven't been vendetta, but yeah, Juve, I think, should win. They're definitely the better team. However, maybe Gattuso has a trick or two up his sleeve. You never know. I mean, I have a lot of Napoli fans I know, so I really hope Juve wins just for the bragging rights.
Shout out Napoli Club Toronto, huh?
Them, and I have a bunch of relatives too that are Napoli fans, so I really need Juve to win for the bragging rights.
There you go.
How's the soccer fan situation in Toronto? I always see on Twitter, it seems like there's a lot of soccer fans in Toronto. First of all, okay, have you ever been to Montreal?
Yes, I have a couple times. I've went because I actually do have relatives that live in Montreal, so I've been a couple times. I've actually been on stuff, but I've never been to any soccer game there.
That's what I wanted to get at. If you came and saw a soccer game here, I wanted to ask which is the better city. But since you've never been, I guess we could all say Montreal, right?
Well, it's city bias, right?
There you go.
But obviously in Toronto, there's a lot of Italians too, no?
Yeah, there definitely is. I think the Serie A fan base is increasing, and I think it's been there for a while. Like here, I think the amount of Serie A teams that people like in Toronto is crazy. Like you have a lot of people's families are from certain regions. You see a lot of maybe, let's say, Napoli fans, Lazio fans, and you see also the bigger clubs like Inter, Milan, Juventus. But the soccer scene's really good in Toronto, unless you're talking about Toronto FC in the MLS, and that's a different story. Fans of those clubs will tell you that people in Toronto don't like soccer, but that's a different story.
Yeah, I can imagine. Shout out Milan Club Toronto, Maurizio out there in Toronto. Shout out.
Also, look at all these plugs that they just give.
The new Juve club in Toronto as well with Rocco Fasano.
Rocco Fasano.
Wow, they got a more comfortable.
Have you checked that out, Joseph?
No, I haven't checked it out. I've actually been invited to a couple of their parties, but I couldn't attend for different reasons. But I'm really planning on attending a Juve game at the club, because I really I'm a Juve fan, and it'd be great to be around Juve fans, because I've been around a bunch of Milan fans at the Milan club. I've been around a bunch.
No problem with that, Joseph.
So I want to be around my own fan base, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely.
All right, so Joseph, we're gonna bounce back a question to you that you gave to us last week. Do you think that Brescia is going to end up being regulated? Yes or no?
Oh, wow. I don't even remember asking this question. But anyways, yeah, I actually predicted when I was doing the interview on TLN that they would get relegated. So I'm going to stick to that and say that. I think that they can't really buy a win right now, and that's going to cost them in the end.
Anyways.
And plus, their
defensive... Sorry. Continue, Joseph.
I don't think their defensive situation is ideal. I think they're very suspect at the back, so I think they'll be relegated despite having Balotelli and all that.
Well Balotelli's not doing much for them at this point. Always getting suspended or whatnot. It's an unfortunate situation.
No.
Yeah, two matches. It's an unfortunate situation. But thanks so much for joining us here on the Calcio Guys, Joseph.
We appreciate it.
Continue interacting with me on social media, and yeah.
Where can people find you on social media?
Okay, so a bunch of places. So first of all, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. My name is Joseph Porgo, so I'm on LinkedIn.
Meets, you got LinkedIn. Look at this guy, business.
Thank you. My page is called Calcio Fan Blogs on Facebook. On Twitter, my name is @Calcio Fan Blogs 1. And then on Instagram, you can find me. My name is @Calcio Fan Blogs. So just go and search those names and you'll find me. And maybe follow me, interact with me, have some outrageous fan opinions. Who knows?
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Search me up.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Joseph.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Have a good one.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
So that was a pretty interesting conversation with Joseph, and a couple of minutes left in this week's episode. And as we normally do, we didn't get to do it last week. Predictions for the Serie A match day 21. I was thinking about asking you guys for Coppa Italia, but I don't know. There's a game tomorrow, and then a game next Tuesday, and then a game next Wednesday. It's kind of spread out. But I think it's Juve Roma tomorrow. Milan Torino.
Big win for Napoli today.
Yeah, of course, a big win for Napoli. And then I think it's is it Torino Milan or Milan Torino?
It's Milan Torino.
Milan Torino, and then Inter Fiorentina on Wednesday. But let's do Serie A match day 21. So you know the rules. Go game by game and give me your scores. And first of all, let's talk about the two big games. Derby della Capitale, Roma Lazio, and the derby without a name, Napoli-Juventus. I think at this point it's sad to see Napoli like this because it doesn't have the value that it used to have.
Nope. It didn't have the big implication that it did as the second game of the season this season.
No.
It was the first thread that came loose that helped unravel Napoli as it was right now. So I think for this year, I think Napoli should just try to focus on try to save grace and try to save face. Actually, that's the better term, and focusing elsewhere. So this is not even a challenge or anything that's important anymore. So maybe next year they might go back into being competitive against Juve again, but this year is a wash.
It's tough. I mean, obviously, as I said before, and we all said it. We hate to see Napoli in this position, but just looking back, they're still in Champions League. Yes, they have Barcelona, but they're still in Champions League. A, B, they're still in Coppa Italia after a big win today against Lazio, and C, I mean, obviously, they're on the right side of the table in 11th place there at the moment in Serie A, but I think. It shouldn't be all wasted. I don't believe in, there's still a lot of calcio to be played. Can they make Europe? It's a bit of a stretch per se to say right now. It seems unlikely, and the fan base doesn't seem to believe in it. But I think it's still a big game, no matter the forms of the teams. I think Napoli Juve, it'll always be a big game. From now and in the future, in the past as well. So. I think, unfortunately, Juventus will take away, all 3 points, but I just don't think it should be thrown out the window for Napoli.
And then obviously the derby, it's a lot more competitive than Napoli Juve. Roma is 7 points behind Lazio. If they could find a way to take all 3 points, they could see if they could close in on them by season's end. Lazio does have a game on hand. So, if Roma wants to finish in the top 3, this is a must-win, though. Gianni, we don't hear you. We don't hear Gianni.
Gianni, there's a little mishap.
Okay, Adri...
but I'll take it away. I think I'm gonna go against what Joseph said. I do agree that Roma can give a fight to this Lazio team, but I'm still gonna stick with Lazio in this one. I think yes, they're in better form, and I think when you speak about buying into obviously the project that I always say, I think yes, Fonseca is doing a great job, but I think Inzaghi at the moment is doing I would say even better job. So it's going to be a tough game. Obviously, derby. I think sometimes form goes out the window, but with Lazio, this Lazio team, Immobile is totally shocking the world and shocking all of us. So it's going to be an interesting game, and I think everybody, fans of the clubs and just general fans, should definitely get up and watch this game.
Okay, Johnny, your thoughts on the derby?
Well, they're playing against a red-hot Lazio, and as much as I would like Roma to walk away with the nice big W, it's going to be hard. Lazio's been such in form. Despite losing to Napoli today, I don't think Lazio's really kicking themselves in the butt. It's probably another maybe 2-1, 3-1 finish for Lazio, like was the last derby. So I don't think I would go for Lazio, maybe a 1 win this time around against Roma.
Okay, let's do our weekly scores. Let's just do the scores at this point since we talked about the big game. So Brescia Milan kicks things off Friday afternoon. I'm gonna go with a 3-0 Milan win.
Friday afternoon. Who's watching these games here in North America? Friday afternoon.
Not you, apparently.
I don't know. We'll see. There's always when there's a will, there's a way. So we'll definitely see to try to watch this game. But Brescia Milan, in Brescia, I think Milan. I'm going to say it every week. I think Milan deserves to win, and I need them to win. So for this game against Brescia, depleted Brescia, obviously without Balotelli this week, I think Milan could take it. I'm going to say 2-0.
I'll go with 2-0 win as well for Milan.
Spal Bologna.
That's a good. That's a tough matchup, but I think Bologna has been kind of. I believe they've been drawing quite a bit and kind of losing some points, but they're still a good team. Obviously, Spal with the upset over Atalanta this past weekend, but I still think Bologna can do some damage in this game. But I'm gonna say maybe like a 2-1 for Bologna.
1-0 Bologna for me.
I say 0-0. Okay, let's just focus on those score predictions. Fiorentina, Genoa, I say 3-1 Fiorentina.
I'm gonna say 2-1 Fiorentina. Cutrone scores.
1-0 Fiorentina.
Torino, Atalanta. Atalanta has to bounce back. Not an easy opponent. 3-2 Atalanta.
I'm gonna go with a 4-1 victory for Atalanta. As you said, bounce back for sure, and to stay up where they need to. I think they need this win.
Sirigu is a solid goalie. 2-1 Atalanta.
Inter Milan against Cagliari. Cagliari always gives Milan trouble. Let's go 2-1 Inter.
I'm going to go 3-0 for Inter against Cagliari in this game.
I'm just going to have some fun with this. A 1-1 draw.
There you go. Alla Lecce.
Parma hosts Udinese Sunday morning. Gianni?
Come back to me.
Okay, I'm going to go...
sound like a bumblebee.
I'm going to go 1-1.
I'm going to go 2-2 in that game.
1-0 Parma.
Sampdoria, Sassuolo. Let's go 0-0.
Ooh.
Wow. I think, I don't know, it's going to be tough, but I think Sassuolo will come away with the win. Maybe Boga, another screamer, who knows? But I'm going to go 2-1 for Sassuolo in that game.
2-0 Sassuolo.
Verona hosts Lecce, 3-0 Verona.
Wow. I'm going to go
1-0 Verona.
2-2 in that game for me.
I'm going to go 1-1. 1-0 for Verona.
And then, as we talked about the derby, Roma hosts Lazio. I think Lazio is going to come away with a 3-2 dramatic win. Johnny, you said 2-1 Lazio?
I'm going to say 2-1 Lazio.
And I'll go 3-1 Lazio, and Immobile gets a brace.
And then Napoli hosts Juventus. I'm going to go 2-0 Juve.
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 Juve as well. That seems like a pretty fair prediction.
I'll go with a bit higher score. I think I'm going to go 3-2 Juve in that game.
So that will do it for us. Enjoy your Serie A weekend. It is going to be an exciting weekend.
Always. And always make sure to follow us at the Calcio Guys on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook as well. Make sure to catch this podcast on all your favorite podcasting websites and devices. So Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, iHeart Radio. You know all that good stuff. So, definitely follow us on our social medias. We post all kinds of Serie A content and bringing Serie A and Calcio back out there.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao.
Bye.
The Calcio Guys is a weekly podcast by Adreano, Gianni Della, and myself, Nicholas Di Giovanni. We want to bring Calcio back to its roots in our communities and share stories from around the world about why we're passionate about the beautiful game. You can listen to us anywhere where you listen to your podcasts, including Spreaker, Google Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, iHeart Radio, and Mixcloud. Give us your opinion on social media at The Calcio Guys on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. The outro song is The Last Ones by Jahzzar.